What's up, everybody? We did it. We made it. Andor season finale. It's here. Well, it's over now, and hopefully you've watched it. Otherwise, you're gonna get spoiled. So there you go. Hey, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 70,000. Show a little, will you? We got a lot of stuff over here: short form, long form, Andor reviews, tons of reviews. So check it out. Before we get going, want to let you know about Carbon Health, our sponsor for this episode and other episodes as well. We love Carbon Health. If you don't know about them, 110 locations nationwide. There are 80 locations in California, the Bay Area, Los Angeles, Sacramento, North San Diego. They have advanced care for most urgent care facilities. They have the ability to handle x-rays on location, so you don't have to go somewhere else to get and review an x-ray. You can start a relationship with a professional that you can trust and take care of yourself before a major issue arises. It's fantastic, and they believe that everyone deserves a healthcare provider who is an active partner supporting you in your efforts to feel better and live healthier. They have care teams that support, and they have the resources they need to be able to focus and build a relationship with you. We love them. We're so happy to be with them. We've been with them for a little bit. We're going to continue on our relationship. We love Carbon Health. So if you want to learn more about them, carbonhealth.com. It's in the link in the description. All right, man. Let's get into it. Andor. So once again, we're not going to get into the same thing over and over and over again. If you're not on board with this show by now, why are you still watching it? You have to. It's a complete. It's a complete show. That's what it is. It's a complete show with the writing and the setup from episode 1 all the way to now, and the first episode with Ferrix and everything in the way that it planned out and mapped out, and Andor's arc. It all comes to a head in this really beautifully written, powerful episode. What I like about this show is what they do is there's like an air of predictability on purpose. And what I mean by that is if you go back and you look at the prison episodes, right? The 3-episode arc. Everybody knows, if you're watching it, that the 3rd episode in that arc is going to be the prison break. Like, everybody knows that. It's predictable, and it's supposed to be. But but they set it up in a way that where you're anticipating it, and you're waiting for it, and you're like, okay, how are they going to do it? That's what this show consistently does. Like, Andor's not going to get captured, or even if he does, he's going to break out or something, but he's going to go back, and there's going to be some kind of uprising, but the question is how, and does it pay off, and does it work? And that's what I mean with this show, is that it doesn't just rush into things. It allows itself to marinate, and it allows the tension to build throughout it, to get you to a point where you're like, oh, what's happening? What's going on? As opposed to someone shows up, boom, 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 pew, 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 fight, fight, fight. And it's like, no, it's like this build of, is he going to show up? He's showing up, but he's got to be careful. He's got his tracks. The ISB is looking for him. Luthen is looking for him and trying to kill him. He's got all these things, and then he realizes that Bix is in trouble, and he's got to now get Bix, and he realizes that all these things are happening while he's back, and it's this buildup, and his buddy from the first episode turns on him, rats him out, because the other guy, his friend, can't keep his mouth shut, and even these little things, even that scene where his friend from the first episode, who was, selling him watches or whatever the hell he was selling him, and they're having this battle, and they're having this conversation. The alien shows up in that first, I think it was the pilot episode. But either way, so that guy says to the dude who knows Andor's coming back, or knows that Andor knows that his mom has passed, and he says to him, the guy who rats him out, he says, don't say anything that I don't want to know about. And then he gets like a smirk, like, I got the information that I needed. And that was just such a nice written moment. I'm like, okay. So he's playing it off like he does, no, I'm on your side. And then he goes and he rats it out, and he ultimately pays the price because he gets blown up. But man, like everything about it, this episode in general, right? Where'd we go? Yep. Hold on. There we go. So the first, Andor's back, and he's kind of walking around inside, and he knows the area so well, and he's kind of underneath, in the walls, on top, outside. He can't get a lock on him because he knows the place inside and out. He's grown up there. He knows how to maneuver. And what I like about it, this is the show in general has done this consistently. I have some minor criticisms about it, but I don't agree with the criticisms that Andor is pretty damn involved in the show, but not always involved in the main thing going on. Like, he's got his thing. Like, his main thing was don't get caught. Rescue Bix. Get him the hell out of there. Even when he's with Pissbot at the end, and for people like, it's Pissbot. I call him that because he got pissed on in the first. Do I like him? I like him a lot. I think he's a great bot. I think he's great. I disagree with you, Kevin Smets, that it's good that he's emotional. I like it. Show your emotions, little piss pot. And he does, and he says, and he's so excited to see Andor, and Andor's like, you got to take care of everybody. He's like, you say that all the time. You know, he's like, yeah, but you do it. You deliver for me every time. And that alone, those moments where he gets Bix and he puts her on the ship, and he's like, get the hell out of here. I got other things to do right now. Andor had a purpose. He had a whole thing that he had to do, and we also know that it's this powerful scene that he's got with Luthen at the very end of this thing. We'll just kind of jump into. The very end of the entire thing, I think it's right here, right? This smile by Luthen, because Andor's on his way in, and Luthen for this episode is tracking him down, and he's saying, we got to kill him. We got to get them. We got to get him before ISB does, because they're going to get him to talk, and then we're screwed. And Andor's like, just kill me. Just, okay, what are you going to do? And then there's this look like Luthen, like, no. I can't do that. This is the guy. I need this guy. I got to bring him along. And he does. And that's kind of how we start. It was a great ending to where it's like, hey, this is okay. I was wrong, and I'm taking you in. And then you had was it both Val and I always forget her name. She's so good in the episode too. Is it Kira? No, I always mess it up. Her girlfriend, who is great in this episode, and she's what a boss she is. She winds up getting into this. She's tracking the ISB guy the whole time, who's undercover, and this is where the spy thriller side of it came in so good. She's on him. She's just like, because Val's like, hey, it's nice to see you. She's like, oh, okay, we've gone through this enough. I'm busy. You know, I was gonna pick you up, but I couldn't. This guy, this is the bigger thing. Stop. Yeah, well, we'll have Thanksgiving soon. Don't worry about it. I'm busy. And she's tracking this guy the whole time. And at the very end of it, he's like, who are you? And she's like, no, I'm not going to talk to you. You're dead. And then that badass scene when she's in Val's like, you're bleeding. And she's like, it's not my blood. Stop. Let's go. I loved her in this episode. She was great. So there was just so much going on. So many layers throughout this entire episode. And then you got, let's see. So as you track through it, actually Andor is trying to find out information the entire time. Pisspot's walking around. He's finally excited. He gets knocked over, and he had a big part to play in this as well. And oh shoot, man, Dedra. She shows up, and she's got the Death Troopers with her. They return. Nice to see them back. It's the first time they're back, right? Oh, this guy. We'll get to that guy in a second. But Dedra, she shows up, and this is her mission now, right? This is her mission. She needs to get this guy, figure it out, and then on the other side of it, which I loved, when I was mistaken. I thought we were going to see the ambush for the rebel who's coming in, and Luthen basically didn't set up, but he just doesn't protect. And Saw was in the previous episode. You knew he was going to die. You knew, and you don't see it. And Dedra's pissed off that they didn't keep anybody alive. And her boss is like, you just do what you got to do over there. Don't worry about this. I get it, but just do your thing. So she's pissed. And they got me for a split second. Because when that uprising happens at the end and all hell is breaking loose and she gets trapped, I'm like, oh, they're gonna do to her what she did to Bix. I don't know if she's gonna make it out of here. And there's Creepy Cyril. Creepy Cyril is tracking her the whole time. He's got a punchable face, doesn't he? And that's a compliment. I think the actor's doing a great job. He's doing a great job. He's just that creepy stalker guy who now she's indebted to him. And you looked like they were going to go to town on each other in that broom closet. But, they get to a place where she's like, I should say thank you. He's like, yeah, you're good. You're good. And he picked his moment, and now she's indebted to him. So now they're gonna have a thing in season 2, which we knew was coming, but we just didn't know how. Again, that's my point. So that whole thing played out because she was in trouble, man. Cyril saved her, and Cyril played it where he put on his little baseball cap and looked like he was one of the people of Ferrix, and he's like, I got you now. And they did that a few times. It's that spy thriller feel. Even the guy who rats out Andor, he's like, pretend you're gonna arrest me, and and they do this whole thing. They put him to the side, even though he said, "Pretend you're going to arrest me." He's like, "That's not very good undercover work by the other guy, but so be it." Anyway, there was that uprising scene was powerful too, wasn't it? But we'll jump to this first. Talk about, as we mentioned, the Death Troopers before. The other thing that they gave you a little nod to inside of tying everything together was Canto Bight. And our boy, Mon Mothma's husband, he's a delinquent. And he's betting it all. He's a real piece of trash, this guy. But he's living the life. He's unhappy, and he's abusing the money. And then what happens? And I don't know where I got this thumbnail, by the way. Somebody made this, so I want to give them credit, but I don't know who the hell did it. Somebody, I saw an image on Google. But anyway, they betroth the daughter. Mon Mothma's got the tears in her eyes. Man, she knows sacrifices need to be made. And you see all the sacrifice that she needs to make to put out of here. And I think that I think that I've seen enough setup now, Mon Mothma. I've seen enough setup with her, and I think it was great setup. I think that the way that they played her this entire season of the sacrifice she needs to make, the transition between really becoming this political person to understanding what she needs to do and the struggle, I think it was handled beautifully. Now we got to transition into the Mon Mothma that we know, considering there's only one season left. There's only 2 seasons of this show. So you've got to see when, I'm sure there'll be a time jump. I think that's what they said at least. And you should see her in a different position at this point. And everything's going to really come to a head as we now see, what she had to do in order to get, where she is. So we're on Ferrix and Dedra, I think, a little too confident in everything that's going to happen, and she thinks she's going to take them out pretty easy, underestimating the people. This is, again, this guy who was trying to be a good dude but couldn't keep his mouth shut and ultimately got Andor. No, he didn't really get Andor in trouble, but almost did. And this scene's probably the best scene in the whole show, right? This was when Andor's mom, she's out there and she has this whole speech, and she knew it was coming. Marva knew it was coming. She's like, "Look," and she eases into it because all the Empire's watching. She's got, Pisspot's got her in the town circle, and saying, she's saying all these words, and she's easing into it. And then she finally, you knew that Marva wasn't going to just die off screen and that was the end of it. That's Fiona Shaw, man. She had to do something else. And boy, did she. She knew it. She's like, once she's easy, because even the Empire's looking on like, just go on a little too long. And then she starts saying, rise up, do this. The Empire's garbage. And then they kick over Pisspot, and then, all hell breaks loose. But she was pissed. She was so pissed, it reminded me of when she was telling Harry to stay underneath the closet. Because everybody was watching this thing, and they were locked in. And then it just all goes down. People are getting blasted left and right. And that was the thing with this that felt, I don't know, it felt eerie. It had that Rogue One feel for sure. It had like an old school kind of Empire. You saw it reminded me, because I think the Stormtroopers over the years have gotten goofier and goofier, where they're just kind of, and I say it all the time, that little Ewoks can take them out with rocks. And you're like, whoa! And you're like, they're not really terrifying. They were terrifying in this episode. I believe that they would just mow down Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, because it's just like, kill them all. Boom, 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 boom. And you're like, holy shit, man. Like, you see the way that it's all going down, and then the people of Ferrix are fighting back, and this is Uprising, and it was a very powerful, really, these pockets of rebellion that are happening, and Luthen's watching the whole thing happen, and people are chucking bombs, and it was crazy. It was a crazy scene, and that's when Bix does it. Bix is terrified. She's just like, they're gonna get mad. I'm not leaving. He's like, let's get the out of here. And then he finally gets her out, and she got to get her energy back. She's got to be able to come back. I don't think she's going to last past season 2, obviously. It's going to be pretty tragic, I think, in season 2 when she goes. But I think she at least gets her energy back, starts fighting a little bit. But yeah, and it was and the other one is, again, this is the wrong show to watch for someone who's going to know all the names. Do your research. No, watch other shows for that. Star Wars Explained and Ken Knapsack are fantastic. So go and do that. I watch it the way that you're going to talk to your buddies about it, and I can tell you, you'll know who I'm talking about. The guy who basically gives Andor that speech that his mom gave him and said, tell him this. I know he's going to say this. I know he's going to do that. And when they embrace, the first time he gives him that hug, it's almost like a father figure to him now. Even in that flashback to his other father figure, which was great. There's just so many emotional moments. But that guy was where he got away. I'm glad he got away, by the way. When they gave this big embrace, he tells him, he's like, look, she said you were going to say this. Listen, it's okay. Be the hero that you're going to be. And do it. Be I think the force of good that you will be. Something along those lines. So that was great. It was great. Really, really liked that and the relay to what Marva had in store for it and knew what Andor could accomplish. So yeah, they're watching, and then it all just goes to hell. So, but how about let's see, Andor? This is the one though, right? The post-credit scene. I hope everybody checked out the post-credit scene because Andor doesn't have a lot of post-credit scenes at all. This is the only one the entire time. I only stuck around because I had somebody who had watched it and said watched for the post-credit scene. I probably would have missed it because when I was talking to my friend DJ, and he's like, yeah, I watched it. It's a post-credit scene. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I would have missed it. And what a post-credit scene it was. The stuff that everybody's building across those planets or across the prisons. It's the weapon for the Death Star. We ain't too far away from the completion of it. It's pretty awesome. Like that was, this is really going to lead into Rogue One, obviously, but this is the way you do it, where you're like, oh, okay, this is why they have it. This is what they're doing. This is like, it cost them absolutely nothing to build because they're just wrongfully imprisoning people and having them build stuff. And then you get the Death Star weapon. So that was a fantastic post-credit scene, a really good one that obviously carries a lot of weight into going into the next season. And then we see Luthen, he recruits Andor, and the rest is history. Loved it. Loved the whole season. It was like it's like a 12-hour movie or 10-hour movie, whatever. Maybe 10 and a half. You do the math. Either way, it was a really, really fantastic season. I hope that this show gets some Emmy recognition because it deserves it. It's a very well-written show. And B, I hope I've seen a lot of people. I just did a live stream with X-Pac, Sean Waltman on the Kristian Harloff and Friends channel. And he was one of those fans that was like, I don't know, Andor, it doesn't seem like it's really up my alley. And then he stopped watching it, and then he went back to it, and now he loves it. And I think I've seen a lot of people doing that. And it's just, I think that if you rewatch it now from episode 1 until now, I think it's going to play really well. And I think the buzz is starting to come a little bit more from it too. So what do you guys think overall? What do you think of the season? I'm probably going to do a full season recap also. Probably have a season recap with somebody. I don't know who yet. I assume probably do the Sith Council one next week. I don't know. Not sure. We're definitely doing Sith Council 12 episode or the finale today. So you can check that out. But man, this is such a good show. I was so excited to see a show that like this treated in this way. And then we get The Mandalorian coming up with Bad Batch first, then The Mandalorian in like February, then Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, and I think Andor season 2 will either hit the beginning of 2024 or the end of 2023. I don't know. They just started filming, so it could be the end of next year. It could be the beginning of 2024. Either way, what do you guys think? I want to know your comments. Please let me know in the comments section what you thought of the finale. What did you think of the season overall? Were you one of the people that were locked in from the start? Or were you someone who thought, I don't know, man, it's a little too slow for me, and then it brought you in? Or are you one of those people just like, look, I tried it. I tried the whole season, just not for me. I want to hear the comments, even if you've never commented before. If you're brand new to the channel, then definitely comment. I like to try to comment back as much as I can. If you're brand new, please do that. And if you're brand new, then absolutely, you got to subscribe. But if you are, again, someone who has been around, watched some stuff, never commented, please comment. If you're someone who comments all the time, comment again. I want to hear it. Hit that like button. And thank you guys so much. I appreciate you more than you know. It is Andor. It's the show. It's the thing. All right, everybody. Peace.